Amani, 23, walked barefoot through the red dust path of her village in Kenya. Her yellow dress swayed in rhythm with each step, the woven basket steady on her head. She smiled as chickens darted across the road and children called out her name. Despite the heaviness at home, where her stepmother treated her like a servant, Amani found peace in simple moments like this. Her heart was good, hopeful. Unknown to her, a stranger had entered the village today. A man with a secret as vast as the sky. A storm of fate had just begun. Amani felt a brief chill as she walked past the village well, her pace slowing. Behind her, a man in clean jeans and a crisp shirt stood watching, his presence unfamiliar yet strangely calm. His name was Zane, a 26-year-old millionaire sent by his company to scout land, but he had disguised himself as a modest traveler. Villagers knew nothing of his wealth. Amani met his eyes, offering a polite smile, unaware that fate had just woven their stories together. Zane felt something stir in him. There was something about her, real, grounded, unlike any woman he had met. Amani, 23, walked barefoot through the red dust path of her village in Kenya. Her yellow dress swayed in rhythm with each step, the woven basket steady on her head. She smiled as chickens darted across the road and children called out her name. Despite the heaviness at home, where her stepmother treated her like a servant, Amani found peace in simple moments like this. Her heart was good, hopeful. Unknown to her, a stranger had entered the village today. A man with a secret as vast as the sky. A storm of fate had just begun. Later that day, Amani walked down to the stream, clutching a worn clay pot. To her surprise, Zane appeared again, crouched near the water's edge, washing his face. "You again," she said softly, a hint of curiosity in her voice. He looked up, smiling. "Baby Fate wants us to meet." She chuckled, shaking her head, but stayed. They talked for a while, about the sky, the land, nothing too personal. Amani felt oddly comfortable. As the wind blew gently around them, their eyes locked for a heartbeat too long. It was the start of something, but she didn't know it yet. That evening, Zane surprised Amani's family by delivering a bowl of warm food from the market. Amani, hesitant but grateful, reached out to accept it with wide eyes. But her stepmother's jaw tightened, and Lella narrowed her gaze. "Why is he being so kind to her?" Lella hissed later. Mama Jalia's voice dripped with disdain. "Men don't give without wanting something back." As laughter bubbled between Amani and Zane, the jealousy in her home grew like poison ivy. Unknown to them, a plot was quietly forming. Mama Jalia wasn't going to let this bond bloom. That night, in the dim glow of a kerosene lamp, Mama Jalia and Leela sat whispering by the fire. "He's falling for her," Leela grumbled, folding her arms. Mama Jalia's eyes narrowed. "Then we make him regret it." They decided to tarnish Amani's image, spread lies that she was seeing other men, that she had a dark past. Leela smirked, already imagining the hurt on Amani's face. But Amani, in her small room, prayed silently, unaware of the betrayal blooming under her roof. The next day would bring whispers, and Amani would be forced to choose dignity or defense. By morning, the village buzzed with quiet whispers. Amani stepped into the market with her basket, but familiar eyes turned away. Women who once greeted her now exchanged murmurs behind woven stalls. "She hides things," one woman muttered. "Zane deserves better," another sneered. The lies had spread like wildfire, crafted by Mama Jalia and Layla under the night's cloak. Amani's heart pounded as shame wrapped around her like a second skin. Zane approached, confused by the cold stares. "What's going on?" he asked. She forced a smile, but her eyes trembled. "I wish I knew." The rumors had left a stain. Zane stood alone under the shade of a mango tree, lost in thought. Amani approached quietly, her voice low. "If you believe them, I understand." He turned, hurt flashing in his eyes. I came here to escape fake people." "Oh, what's the best way you could do?" Mama said. "You're the only real one I've met." She stepped closer, trembling. "Then why do I feel like you're slipping away?" Their silence was sharp, too many words left unsaid. But before anything more could be spoken, Mama Jalia appeared behind them. "You should know the truth about her," she announced, loud enough for nearby villagers to hear. Just as Mama Jalia prepared to spew more venom, an unexpected voice silenced the crowd. Baba Tembo, Amani's late father's closest friend, stepped forward. "Enough lies," he said, voice heavy with age and truth. "I knew her mother. She was no traitor. And Amani has more dignity in her silence than some have in a lifetime of words." The villagers fell quiet. Mama Jalia's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of fear. Zayn stared at Amani, as if seeing her for the first time again. For Amani, it wasn't about clearing her name, it was about reclaiming her voice. Amani stood tall, Zayn's hand lightly brushing hers, grounding her. Mama Jalia tried to speak, but Baba Tembo raised his hand, silencing her. "We know who speaks truth now," he declared. The villagers nodded, turning their backs on the schemers. Layla, furious, stormed off. Mama Jalia's glare pierced Amani, but she didn't flinch. For the first time, Amani wasn't alone. Zayn stepped forward, revealing his identity. "I'm not just a visitor. I own the land your house stands on." Gasps filled the air. Mama Jalia's face paled. The power had shifted, and Amani was no longer in the shadows. Days passed. The village quieted, but whispers still followed Amani. She stood at the stream where she first met Zayn, staring at her reflection. "I won't run from this," she whispered. Zayn joined her, offering a small carved box. Inside was a letter, an offer. "I'm building a school in this village," he said. "I want you to lead it." Shock filled her face. "Me?" He nodded. "You're brave, kind, and strong. The children deserve someone like you." Her eyes welled with tears. For the first time, Amani saw herself the way Zayn did, not just as a survivor, but as a future. Amani stood before the unfinished schoolhouse now under construction near the village stream. Children peeked curiously from behind trees, giggling and waving. With Zayn's support, she had begun transforming the village, not just with bricks and timber, but with hope. Villagers who once doubted her now offered help. Layla watched from afar, arms folded, pride wounded, but quietly impressed. Mama Jalia hadn't spoken a word since the public humiliation, retreating into silence. But Amani didn't need her approval anymore. She had her voice, her strength, her future. And as the first beam rose, so did her spirit. That evening, Amani stood outside the hut where she had grown up, staring at its cracked mud walls. The door creaked open, and Mama Jalia appeared, older than ever in the fading light. For the first time, her voice held no venom. "You remind me of your mother," she whispered. Amani didn't respond. There was nothing more to say. With a final nod, she turned and walked away. Inside, Layla silently packed her things, not out of shame, but because she knew she no longer belonged in Amani's light. The past wasn't forgotten, but it was behind her now. The village school stood taller now, its walls firm and its roof complete. Amani, holding a stack of worn notebooks, entered the freshly built classroom. Children sat on wooden benches, eyes wide with anticipation. Zayn leaned against the doorway, watching with quiet pride. "Good morning," Amani began, her voice steady and strong. "Today, we write our future." Layla peeked through the window, tears stinging her eyes, not of jealousy, but realization. A new chapter had begun, not just for Amani, but for the entire village. And for once, the sun didn't rise over sorrow. It rose over promise. Amani stood before the village elders, her shoulders back, her chin high. She wasn't just the girl who used to carry water or whisper prayers in the night. She was now the voice of change. "Education isn't charity," she said, her tone unwavering. "It's justice." The elders nodded, some in awe, others with humbled respect. Behind her, Zane watched proudly. The villagers gathered in silence, listening not just to her words, but to the truth within them. Amani didn't need magic to rise. Her strength had always been there, buried beneath pain, blooming now through purpose. Weeks later, the village brimmed with life. The school buzzed, crops flourished, and Zane walked beside Amani through the market, not as a stranger, but as one of them. Children ran up to her, gifting her flowers they'd made from folded leaves. "Teacher Amani," they shouted. Even the elders smiled as she passed. As she greeted a merchant, Layla emerged from the crowd, this time with sincerity in her eyes. She offered a timid smile. Amani paused, then smiled back. Forgiveness had no words, only gestures. Peace, long fought for, had returned not just to her heart, but to her home. That night, under a sky dusted with stars, Zane and Amani sat quietly outside the schoolhouse. The moonlight shimmered off the tin roof as fireflies danced nearby. "When I came here, I didn't expect to stay," Zane admitted. "But now, I can't imagine leaving." Amani smiled gently, her hand resting over his. "You don't have to go." He pulled a small carved ring from his pocket, not gold, but crafted by a village elder. "This isn't about wealth," he said. "It's about belonging." Amani's heart swelled. Under that wide sky, they sealed the promise not with riches, but with love and roots. Zane and Amani began building a small home on the hill overlooking the village. Not grand or lavish, but sturdy and filled with laughter. Villagers came to help, bringing wood, nails, and stories. Lela even arrived with a basket of food, humbly offering her piece. Mama Jalia, distant but watching, remained quiet. Amani didn't beg for love anymore. She had earned respect. As they placed the final stone, Zane wrapped his arms around her. "We built this," he whispered, "together. And with that, a house became a home, not built from riches but from resilience and truth." The village prepared for a feast, one that hadn't been held in years. Colorful fabrics lined the trees, drums echoed through the valley, and fires crackled with roasted yams and spiced meats. It wasn't just a celebration of the new school or the rebuilt homes. It was a celebration of unity, of truth rising above deceit. Amani walked in, wearing her late mother's traditional dress, eyes bright with joy. Zane stood at her side, beaming with pride. Lela served food with a quiet smile. Even Mama Jalia joined, seated silently at the edge. This was no fairy tale. This was real healing. Years later, the school bell rang beneath a bright morning sky. Children filed in, books in hand, dreams in heart. On the wall hung a framed photo of Amani and Zane, smiling in front of the school they built. Now parents themselves, they watched from the gate as their daughter joined the class. The village had changed. Stronger, wiser, kinder. Where once stood shame and struggle, now stood purpose. Amani turned to Zane, whispering, "This was never just about us." He nodded. "It was always about what we'd leave behind." And what they left was hope.